Hi everybody, my name is Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. I am really excited today to talk to you about my November wrap-up, and I've decided to start adding not only books that I've read in November, but also to talk to you about TV shows, movies, and music, because I do spend a significant amount of my time indulging in all of those things. And I might mention video games too, because I actually did manage to pick up a video game again. Only one though. I don't really know how I made it this month because I don't feel like I had a ton of extra time, but I don't know, I guess I just dove into a lot of things. As you can see, the gang is all here. I also have my Advent calendar. Christy gave me an Advent calendar for Christmas, and I've been so excited because I've never had an Advent calendar before. It's the first time. And so today is the third day of December, so I'm enjoying some Earl Grey tea, which was today's pick, and I love Earl Grey tea. It's definitely one of my favorite teas, so this is just perfect. But apparently the dogs also want some Earl Grey tea. I may have just spilled that a little bit. Okay. Bailey is gonna help me with that. She's gonna lick the tea that was spilled. Literally spilling the tea over here. Let's spill the tea about some books, shall we? So the first book that I want to talk to you about is Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. This was a book that I got a really long time ago in a book of the month box. It says June 2022. So I guess not too long ago, but 2 years. I've been sitting on this one for about 2 years. I had heard good things. This had some buzz when it came out from some pretty big booktubers. I remember Reagan from Peru's Project speaking very highly about this. So I was really looking forward to trying it out. And well, first of all, it's about a young lady who is a midnight merchant, and so she travels around selling these ancient relics that usually have some sort of magical quality. And so she is our main focus, our main character. And then this is actually a 3-part perspective novel. So we have 2 other perspectives. So we have Luli, who's our main character, and then we have Mazin, who is a prince, and then we also have Aisha, who is a thief. And so you find out more about who these characters are and how they tie together, and they do start separately in their separate stories, and then you see how their stories mesh, and these characters do meet each other eventually. This is also pitched as, I think, adult fantasy, and I think for me that set me up with expectations that weren't exactly met, because I felt like this read very YA, and that happens all the time, I feel like, with fantasy debuts. If it's from a new author, it's just feeling a little bit like the writing is for a younger audience, and I can't even really explain to you why, but I had that feeling that this is more YA than adult. And so that already I wasn't really vibing with. I also found myself just really more interested in certain perspectives than others. I would say if this book had been written from Luli's perspective entirely, I would have really liked this book more, I think. I think the problem with following 3 different characters is that I never really felt terribly connected to any of them, and Luli was kind of the only one that I cared about. However, one of the characters becomes more interesting as we go. I'm not going to tell you which one because I feel like that could be a spoiler a little bit, but one of the characters, maybe I think it was like, I don't know, 50 or 60% mark, became more interesting, and so I was more invested at that point. This follows also, it's centered around jinn and genies, and so it's got a Aladdin kind of feel. It even has a lamp on the front. It has a pretty good plot, and it has some good forward momentum. It also stalls a little bit, and I think I felt that way because of the different perspectives and jumping from 3 different people and just not really being that interested in the other perspectives other than like the main one. So that's kind of what hurt this book for me, but I did think it had a good plot. I was interested at a certain point, and then I sort of lost interest, and then the ending became interesting again. It has a pretty fast-paced ending. I feel like it kind of had like a snowball kind of ending. So I feel like this just went up and down for me. And so at the moment, I'm giving this one 3 stars. I really liked the directions that this book went, but at the end of the day, the characters were not connecting with me. And I just found myself trying to care, but not really caring. But I wanted to care. And so this one is gonna be in the 3-star camp, unfortunately. I was definitely hoping for at least a 4-star with this, but oh well, I gave it a go. There is a second book that's gonna come out, I believe, in 2025, or it's slated to come out. But I don't know, at this point, I'm probably not gonna continue in the series just because this one didn't grab me in the way that I wanted it to. But I could be swayed if I hear people really loving the second book. I could be swayed. So we'll see. But yes, that was The Stardust Thief. And then the next book that I finished was Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell. And this is I guess it's a little bit more of a novella. People describe it as like short stories connected, but I didn't get the feeling of short stories. Like they all felt very much connected. So I'm calling this more of a novella. I haven't read the other stories in here, but I do want to. I do plan to. So I'm going to continue and read. There are other short stories in here. I will read those. But Cranford is the main one here. And I really, really enjoyed Cranford. It's a little bit slower than some of the other Elizabeth Gaskell that I have read. It's a little bit more slice of life, but not entirely. Like it does have a main group of people and a main plot. It's not just day-to-day living, but there's definitely just a slower pace of this as you're getting to know these characters. And so in Cranford, we're following mostly these spinsters who have their own society, and it's just revealing their funny idiosyncrasies and their way of thinking about each other and about themselves. They have definitely an elevated way of thinking about themselves. You know, you follow like the gossip with these spinsters, and then the way that they do relate to the few men characters, the male characters that come into the plot. I really, really enjoyed it. It has some funny scenes. The humor in Cranford took me by surprise. Even in the first chapter, you get a feeling for that Elizabeth Gaskell likes a good joke. So I really enjoyed certain humorous bits of this. It's also laced with tragedy, so don't go thinking that this is just like happy all the way through. It's sad, and there are tragedies and character deaths. So actually quite a few. So it does have some very sad, heavy things that happen, and it follows more a certain character at a certain point. I don't want to say too much. And kind of the tragic things that happen to her, and I just thought this was really sweet, and the moral of the story in the end is very sweet and wholesome, and it has lots of good humor and lots of good characters with good development. So nothing I wouldn't expect from Gaskell. It's pretty much everything that I really like about Gaskell was in here, represented. So it was lovely. I'm giving it 4 stars. I just didn't feel like it was like my favorite Elizabeth Gaskell novel that I've read ever. So it's very strong, but I think 4 stars is where I'm going to put it for right now. So that was Cranford. And then Monumental Occasion. I finally finished my reread that took me in pretty much 11 months, almost an entire year, of The Way of Kings. So we are just so excited to finish this book. Once I hit a certain point, I went faster through the ending, because how can you not? It was, as a reread, I wish I had like kept up and finished it a little faster and not taken quite so long. Oop. The cat moved, so Bailey is very concerned about where the cat is going. Yeah, so she's running around. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this that hasn't been said. Everything on the internet will tell you that this is great, pretty much. There are some people that don't vibe with the Stormlight Archives, and that's okay. I am not that person. I totally vibe with the Stormlight Archives. I just think it's Brandon Sanderson's best work. It really is. I prefer it to any other series that I've read of Brandon Sanderson. It is truly what I want in high fantasy. It is what I want. So, yes. I can't even say anything about this other than I finished it. It was great. I will continue eventually, but I'm gonna read Warbreaker first, because I've never read Warbreaker, and then I will be continuing rereading Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, and Rhythm of War, and then I will read Wind of Truth. No matter how long it takes me, I'm going to reread them all. I have decided. So I'll see you in 6 years when I finish my reread, I guess, and the 6th book will be out probably, knowing the pace of Brandon Sanderson's writing. Oh well, I'm having a good time rereading them, so no regrets. But okay, those are the things that I finished in November, which is honestly pretty good for me. It's been a while since I've been able to finish 3 books. It's been more like 1 or 2 books a month. So finishing 3 things is a win. It's a major win for me. So let's talk about TV and movies that I watched. So Julio, my husband, he loves to watch TV and movies. So that does take up a good amount of my evenings. If I didn't watch TV as much, I probably could read more. But oh well. I do enjoy TV shows and movies too. So you know, you can't read always. But one of the shows that I was just absolutely engrossed by was The Golden Bachelorette. And this is so funny to say, because like I am not a reality TV person generally. I'm not like a big reality TV stan. There's been certain ones that I've loved. Something about these, I watched The Golden Bachelor when that was on, and I just thought it was the most fun thing. So basically all it is, it's The Bachelor, but with old people. With people 55 and older. Really mostly it's like 60 and older, I feel like, on the show. But there's something so much more fun about watching this, because like they've lived life, and it's not like with the young people, it's more about the drama and like the young people like insulting each other and like competing, and it's just like The Bachelor with the young people is like icky to me, but with the 55 plus community, it is so much fun because they're really sweet, And like everybody in the show has also like lost someone, or some of them have gone through divorce, but like a lot of them like have lost their spouse, and like they're just like genuinely looking for someone to like live out the rest of their life with. And I just think it's the sweetest thing. And I think the show does a really good job of like being respectful to them as older people. And it's so much fun. I'm really not a reality TV person, but this show I could not stop watching. And so we finished this in the course of like, you know, 2 or 3 weeks maybe, which is pretty fast for us. Like we were just addicted. So yeah, I loved The Golden Bachelorette. I think I don't know if I loved it more. I really liked Joan, who is the Bachelorette. I really liked her as a person. And so she was just like a person of like good integrity, you know. I guess that's also kind of what's missing with the younger people when you watch The Bachelor, is like they don't really have like the life experience and integrity, and they make really bad choices. With the older people, they've seen some things in life, and they like act with more integrity. That's the only way to put it. So yeah, The Golden Bachelor, it was so fun. We've also been working our way through The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't know why I can never remember the title of it, but I think that's the title of it. We're actually in the last season, and we have not finished this one. We have not finished the season, but we've been watching that in November, just here and there. Not as much as The Golden Bachelorette. I like The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's actually written by the same people, or produced by the same people as Gilmore Girls, and it has that feeling, especially with the dialogue and the wittiness and like the speed of the humor. It has a lot of that. It also has a lot of Gilmore Girl cameos. Like a lot of actors and actresses from Gilmore Girls end up playing a part in Mrs. Maisel. So I've enjoyed seeing that as well. It can be a little bit raunchy for my taste. It is about comedians, and so it's sort of about their jokes as well, and like being a female comedian and trying to like make it with the guys, and like compete in a mostly male dominated career. So I've enjoyed the show, but it definitely, it toes a line for me that like it's too much sometimes. So bear that in mind if you try the show. It is full of cursing and like dirty jokes and things. So yeah. if you can hang with that, it actually also has just a really good story, and I enjoy some of the themes that it explores, specifically about like the sacrifices it takes to make it in the public eye and to be famous, and what is the cost of being famous, what is the cost of pursuing your art above all else, and like how does that affect people in your life. So that's just a theme also that I enjoy in books and movies. So yeah, do with that information what you will. I also watched one episode of Your Lie in April, which is a manga. I think it's a manga first and then an anime second, I think. I found out about this from Kaylee from Luminous Libro, who read the manga, and I was like, I think that's for me. It's about music students, and it's got like a classical music theme throughout, and I really enjoyed the first episode, but I need to continue, so I can't say too much about it other than that's the premise. We're following musicians, and I really like watching the anime because you actually can hear the music, they're playing the music. They do a pretty good job of animating with the different instruments and like looking pretty accurate in the animations. There wasn't anything that I was like, oh, that looks terrible, you know, which can happen. As a musician, I'm very critical of when instruments are portrayed or played in media. it can be a little bit harrowing to watch when someone's playing an instrument backwards or something. It happens all the time. You'd be shocked. It happens all the time, especially with like commercials and things. Just like horrible instrument representation. Horrible. So yeah, those are the 3 shows I wanted to mention. I also did watch a couple film type things. I watched the John Williams documentary that's out on Disney Plus right now, and it is fantastic. Go watch it. If you don't watch anything else that I talk about today, watch the John Williams documentary. It was so good. John Williams, I mean, what can I say? The man, the myth, the legend. He's amazing. So many film scores that I didn't even know about. Also, it talks about some of his lesser known ones as well. So there's a bunch of movies that I want to go watch now that I had never heard about, especially like ones that are earlier in John Williams' career, like before he got to like the 70s. And that really put him on the map is about in the 70s with Star Wars, and a few other ones in that time. Close Encounters was also in the 70s. There was another one. Oh, Jaws. Jaws was in the 70s. So those 3 movies kind of put him on the map, and then that's when his career really took off. But I learned some things about him, like I didn't know about his background in jazz, and that was like his main thing for a really long time. I didn't know about his jazz piano background and all the recordings that he's played on, like jazz recordings. I had no idea, and that's how people knew him before he got big with his films, or his film scores, I should say. People knew him as a jazz pianist, and as a session musician. So that was really fun to learn about. And he's just like also just a really nice guy. It seems, I don't know him personally, but from the documentary, it seems like he's just a nice person. And so it was such a treat. So go watch that. Highly recommend. We also watched I've watched this before, but my husband and I were decorating the tree with ornaments after my son had gone to bed, and we were looking for something to watch, and so we picked up The Family Man, which was streaming on something, maybe Netflix or something, I don't know. But I had seen The Family Man before, and my husband hadn't, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. But it has some things that made me turn my head and go, oh, that's very dated. It was made in the 90s, so there's some things that raised my eyebrows a little bit. But if there's one thing to watch this movie for, it is Nicolas Cage's overacting. He has some very funny overacting scenes, and that was very entertaining. So this is not the most amazing movie ever. And I don't like the ending. I think the ending could be done a lot better. The ending was a little bit disappointing, but it's an entertaining movie for sure. It's got some funny things, and Nicolas Cage overacting is always fun. I'm just gonna quickly mention also some albums that I enjoyed. I'm gonna mention 3. So every month I make a Spotify playlist, and I just put things on there that I want to try out. I try to do like a mix of new release music that I want to check out, and also old favorites. And I just make a long playlist at the beginning of every month. And so 3 albums that I really enjoyed were probably my top 3 favorite albums that I listened to are MXM Tune is her name. It was actually a screen name. She started out on YouTube, and then she made it bigger. And so now she's got an album out called Liminal Space. And I just think her songwriting is really clever and like reflective, and I just really enjoy her voice, and I think she's a very clever songwriter. So I appreciated her for that. This is, I think, a pretty well received album as well. So yeah, it has some really lovely tracks on there. Also, I discovered the Bygones, and I listened to their self-titled album, The Bygones. They're a little bit more of like a folk flavor. It's a duo, and they're mostly like I would say indie folk, and some really lovely like harmonies and guitars, and just I really enjoyed their vibe very much. So the Bygones is definitely a group that I will keep checking out. And then one that is a little more new to me also is Sammy Ray and the Friends. This was suggested to me after listening to a lot of a band called Melt, because we went to a concert by Melt and it was wonderful. Sammy Ray and the Friends is kind of like that. I would describe them as, it's pop, but also with a funk flavor, like a funk pop kind of group. And lots of like jazz players and winds and jazz soloists, but it's definitely pop with a little bit of a jazz flair. And I was listening to the album Something for Everybody, and I think there is something for everybody on that album. But yeah, those are 3 albums that I would recommend you go check out if you are interested in checking out some new music. Okay. Oh, I was gonna mention video games. I did start playing Disney Dreamlight Valley again, and I want to finish this game. I want to play through and finish it. It's just like a nice game that tells me what to do, that I don't have to think about too hard. Because with some games are just like too intense for me right now. Like I did start playing Tears of the Kingdom, but I have to use my brain too much. At least I felt that way. And so Disney Dreamlight Valley is just telling me what to do, and I just run around and like accomplish random day-to-day tasks, and that's all I want to do. I wanted like an Animal Crossing kind of thing, and so Disney Dreamlight Valley is scratching that itch. It's definitely not the same. It's not the same as Animal Crossing, but it is fun. It is fun, and the Disney characters in it are fun too. So I am working my way through that, and that's probably the only game I'll play for a while until I finish it, until I play through the story. But those are all the things that I indulged in November as far as consuming media and entertainment. So thank you for watching. If you've made it all the way to the end, I don't know what you should leave. Let's leave some kind of holiday emoji, because we've got some holiday earrings on. So you can leave an emoji that's holiday themed. And thank you for watching. I would love to know some of the things that you read or listened to or watched in November, and any of your favorites that you would recommend me to try to check out. I think that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoy my content, I would encourage you to subscribe and stick around, and also hit the little bell icon so that you are notified whenever I post new videos. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep reading great books. Bye-bye.